You alone are my knowledge. You alone my wealth. You are everything to me, O Lord of Lords. You alone.
Twameva Mata cha Pita Twameva Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva Twameva Mata cha Pita Twameva Twameva Bandhuscha Sakha Twameva Twameva Vidya Dravinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Twameva Vidya.
Good morning and good evening, starting with an aspiration that may I truly believe that the divine is my everything. Just ingathering our consciousness, coming fully here, even if it means for the moment. Let me be fully present with my body, with this breath, with the next breath, with as many breaths whenever I can remember as possible. The body is always in the present, but the mind is always here and there. And some breaths of mindfulness in the present really add a lot in my everyday, in my truth, in my reality. So invoking Sri Aurobindo and Mother's presence and grace as we begin this study circle, not begin but continue with the study circle of Looking from Within, a compilation by Dr. A.S. Dalal. Thank you. So last week we had just started chapter 2. It's a beautiful title, Looking at Oneself and Others. You know, how much we are totally in and, surrounded and what words to use by relationships, others, ourselves, preferences, choices, decisions. So this is a very important section, really helpful in guiding us forward. So we had taken some passages from Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So today we'll take the next one. So if anybody is willing, they can please read the whole passage starting from "That is a great error." Thank you.
Good morning. I'm good.
Good morning.
That is a great error of the human vital. To want compliments for their own sake and to be depressed by their absence and imagine that it means there is no capacity. In this world, one starts with ignorance and imperfection in whatever one does. One has to find one's mistakes and to learn. one has to commit errors and find out by correcting them the right way to do things. Nobody in the world has ever escaped from this law. So what one has to do except from other so what one has to expect from others is not compliments all the time, but praise of what is right or well done and criticism of errors and mistakes. The more one can bear criticism and see one's mistakes, the more likely one is to arrive at the fullness of one's capacity. As for comparison with others, one ought not to do that. Each one has his own lesson to learn, his own work to do, and he must concern himself with that, not with the superior or inferior progress of others in comparison with himself. If he is behind today, he can be in full capacity hereafter, and it is for that future perfection of his powers that he must labor. But learn to welcome criticism and the pointing out of imperfections. The more you do so, the more rapidly you will advance. Aurobindo. To recognize one's weaknesses and false movements and draw back from them is the way towards liberation. Aurobindo.
Yeah, thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
I hear this so often and I feel this so often that, oh my God, this is just for me. Or, this is exactly what is happening or I needed to hear. And it's amazing how so many of us can feel it so many times. And it shows how similar our journeys are and how amazing the divine is that he always shows the light. So here Sri Aurobindo says, this is a great error of the human vital to want compliments for their own sake and to be depressed by their absence. Here I might say that no, I don't want compliments. I'm pretty okay in myself. And yet, when you do something, you do want some kind of, I don't know, a nod, a recognition, something that, okay, something has been done right. And we have discussed this before that, even when we leave a good tip or a simple tip, which we could not, which it was possible not to leave, we look at that person to see if, there is something in their eyes which is like, oh, good, kind. So, the places where we look for this appreciation, this recognition that yes, I did right, I did good. I think that too is my want for compliments. There's something in me which wants to know that I'm doing the right thing. And that's not a bad thing, but the bad thing is I look for that, I don't know, this recognition outside of me. And I think this is how I get trapped, right? Like since childhood, we all want our mamas, oh, you did very good, or, that kind of a thing, our teachers. And I think that gives a boost, right? Like you're like, oh, yes, I want to hear that again. So then this starts that, okay, whenever I do something which is according to their happiness, I get praised, I get appreciated, I get, I don't know, a laddu. And for those laddus, our lives just change or take a different course, because it's not about what feels right, what is right, but it becomes that what will give me the right praise or that look that, oh, you're good. So it sounds pretty obvious, but it, I think, acts very subtly in us, and lifetimes are lost in these give and takes and wants and of recognition. Because if I'm just looking for, say Krishna is saying that Arjun, don't do anything for action, right? Like you're not the doer and don't do it for the fruit. And here I'm doing everything for a, oh, very good Taru, for example, right? Not even realizing what I'm doing. Yes, Sardaji, please.
Taru, is it ever possible for any human being to be like that? Have you ever heard of it from the childhood?
That one should not accept praise?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Hmm?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. 100% surety. In the sense, anybody, I think, who has reached a
mm,
certain state of knowing that the divine, right? Like masters, mystics, people working on themselves who have reached, the reached is a wrong word. But when you know that what is it giving me, right? Like, what am I giving and what am I receiving? I'm giving my life. And somebody's saying, oh, good, good, you gave your life. But they don't say that. So when we have seen this enough, we stop.
No, for bringing up a child, for example.
No, I don't. Yeah, with child, I have not seen. You are right. Yeah, because
Yeah,
that's such a natural way to raise them, rewards, punishment, not punishments, but yeah, at least,
at least
yeah,
reward. Huh?
yeah, at least rewards. And obviously, not punishment, but at least we tell them this is wrong, right? Ki you didn't do right, you didn't do this. But
Yeah.
it should stop, right? We are, because we all have that child in us, always seeking for approval. So we need to then tell the child that
Yeah.
approval is just from there, right? Not from here.
Mm.
So that transition, that realization needs to happen.
Yeah, because I'm seeing it with my niece's son. When he does something very neatly, she has to say, "You have done well." Otherwise, he will ask, "Mama, you are not saying good to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Tell me. Otherwise,
yeah,
give me one chocolate."
yeah.
So I think it is, as you said, it is in our nature only.
Yeah,
We
and I'm
need.
not saying that this is the highest way, but I am saying that yes, this is the way we usually raise kids, because I
Yeah.
do know that, and in mother's approach,
Mm.
and of course there would be reward. Mother used to give reward so many times. Ritu was even sharing it with me this week, that so many things she had given to Tara Didi. But she says that, say, in my kids' school,
Mm.
it was like that if they do something, Didi would never say, the teacher would never say good or bad. She would say, you tell me, how did you do this? Are you liking your work? Okay, very good. Okay, where do you think you can improve? And he would say, Didi, I didn't write this well. Didi would say, okay, erase it and write it. So they inculcate that, and if they ever have to, like if I ever have to kind of give a grade, I try that, okay, you judge yourself. Although they don't ask you to even go into that grading thing, but then he is the judge that if you were to give this some grade, so that too is a way, but that's not something that we do it all the time. We are always just urging them with praises or shouts and what have you
Yeah.
done? So, yeah,
So beautiful. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Even we can grade ourselves like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we
You
must.
don't need to say, if I cook very
Yeah,
well one day, I don't need to expect from my husband or Meera,
yeah,
Amma, you have done well. No, no, not
yeah,
necessary. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So beautiful, Taru. This book is really,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I agree. And I'm glad you could join us. Okay. So this is a great error of the human vital, to want compliments for their own sake and to be depressed by their absence and imagine that it means there is no capacity. As in, if I don't get appreciated, I assume that I am not good enough. I am doing this, there is a lack, something is missing. In this world, one starts with ignorance and imperfection in whatever one does. One has to find out one's mistakes and to learn. One has to commit errors and find out by correcting them the right way to do things. Mother talks about suppleness. Mother talks about being young. And, this is what she means by being young, that you're always willing to know this is where I erred. This is thing I need to drop immediately. Because somewhere, especially on this path, and I think everywhere with age and all, we feel that, we would not fully believe it, but there is this thing that, oh, I've got it, I don't make mistakes, I'm good, I know I've chosen my things very carefully, I'm a very ethical person, I don't want any harm, and I choose certain things and I live by them. And if somebody tells me this is hurting or whatever, I would say, then, dude, the problem is with you, not with me. And the harm that I cause under the umbrella of doing the right things is boisterous. So if I'm always open that, oh my God, this is what I was doing, it really, first it's a jolt that, okay, and then it's so, I don't know, one is so grateful that, oh, one could see and one can stop doing what is not to be, what should not be done. I'm sorry if I'm going off track. So nobody in the world has ever escaped this law. I'm unable to see you, so if you unmute, yeah, now I can see. There was something wrong. Okay. Nobody in the world has ever escaped from this law. So what is the law? That one has to find one's own mistakes and to learn. One has to commit errors and find out by correcting them the right way to do things. It sounds such a tedious process. It feels, oh, why? Why do I have to do things to find out the errors? But again, how we discussed, right, that unless, again, a lot of things that I have to do to know what is right, what is wrong, and find my way from there. So it's pretty strongly worded, right, by Sri Aurobindo, that nobody in the world has ever escaped from this law. So many things, right, that we shouldn't hesitate in committing errors. We shouldn't hesitate in realizing, oh, I did wrong and it has to be done this way. So what one has to expect from others is not compliments all the time, but praise of what is right or well done and criticism of errors and mistakes. So then only the growth happens, right? Otherwise, you'll just be, with an image of a saint walking around here and there that I'm holier than thou, and see, I'm doing so good. And the growth of life stops then. The more one can bear criticism and see one's mistake, the more likely one is to arrive at the fullness of one's capacity. See, without this pointing, I can falsely assume that, oh, I'm holier than thou, for example, just taking that forward. But when one is able to see Here, criticism, see one's mistake. That is what leads us to our fuller capacity, not those compliments which, it's like the glitter and the gold. So the compliments, the approvals, the nods are the glitter, which seems flashy. And yet, errors, criticism, accepting the suppleness, the want to progress is the goal which makes us reach our full capacity. Yeah, anything on this? Kindly unmute anytime. It's pretty simple, but if we, only if we practice, only if we are able to follow.
So on the face of it, I remember in one of the sessions we had also discussed that it's like two sides of the same coin. That if you accept praise, then you also kind of accept criticism. But if you see society by large, we are more accepting of praise than of criticism. But if you look at it from an angle that you are receptive to feedback, then wouldn't it mean that if you're accepting criticism, you will also accept praise and get influenced by praise?
I
To
think,
kind of only accept criticism is kind of a bit difficult, I feel. I mean,
Yeah.
what kind of an approach do you keep where you're only accepting criticism, but not getting influenced by praise?
yeah. So here in the passage, if you see, Sri Aurobindo is saying, don't just accept compliments, right? Also accept criticism. So I think, it really depends on where am I in my journey. So right now, where I am, because majority of us live there, die there, is just the praise makes them, they make them blow like a balloon, and criticism, they're ready to fight or cry that, oh my God, the world is so evil, right? This is how the place where we usually operate. So he's initially telling us that, dude, if you want good things, also hear the bad things, right? So it goes hand in hand. So first he's making us ready that take both, don't just take one. And I think when I'm ready, naturally, when I build that connection with the divine, that whatever is coming, it's coming from them and he's showing us, I'm sensing things in the stillness. I don't need dialogues to make sense of things. They just dawn on me. Then I think both will be dropped. Because if I need one, he's saying also take in the other. And if I don't need compliments, I would not also need criticism, because then I will be somewhere else and I will be guided from a different source. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
So on that note, let's say we are receptive to criticism, but there's also so much criticism that one should take and not be too influenced by criticism. So in that, under that consideration, would you think, like, I would think self-reflection would be so much better than just being very receptive to criticism. It means that then you're so influenced by outside, right? So is self-reflection something more higher than being receptive to criticism?
In Sunlit Path, there's a very beautiful passage on this, that how to accept criticism. So it's like their mother says, and I can pull it up, that when somebody says something, don't just accept it or don't just reject it. Like, take it in. Ask yourself, is it true? Sit with it in stillness, not with the vital energy, right? Because usually the ego is like that, mujhe kaise bol diya? Ye kya keh rahe hain? That's the first reaction, right? That's not possible. So she says, sit with it. If there is no truth in it, according to you, because sometimes things are given to us which appear not to be true at all. So then one can, like, what I would do is, and I have faced these things, I keep them on the side that, okay, I have been told this. I don't see it, but let me put it somewhere I can see, so that the next time there is a poke, I can see, okay, this was also told to me. And so surely it was revealed. So she says that sit with it. If you see there is truth, then you work on it. But don't go into the guilt mode, right? That, oh my God, I have done this, I have done that. Like, because, and then she even goes as far as saying you don't even have to apologize. Because if you correct your mistake, that's it. That's the best, the absolute best that you can do. Just move forward, move forward, move forward. And if you think that is not true, drop it. Like, immediately drop it. Okay, this was given to me. I looked at it. Oh, I don't see it. Done. Because I can't, you're absolutely right. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because if I just become open, tell me what's wrong with me, the things people would say, it would be a party for them. So yeah, I will pull that up if I can find, but yeah, that's how she says it has to be done. And it might sound, I don't know कि ये कैसे होगा, but होता है, बहुत easily होता है, and one must try. Yes, Sarda ji, I'm sorry you had unmuted. I kept on talking.
No, not at all. Actually, as Deepa pointed out, some people are always trying to point out the mistakes and criticisms. See, how much ever we feel, no, it's okay, let us not take it into our hearts, but still, it upsets. So, for example, we have a relative, we have never heard him saying anything good about anybody. He will always have something to criticize. We know about his nature, but still, we feel very upset when we visit them. We feel we'll come back with heavy hearts only. What is this? I have not done anything good in my life. So, maybe we have to reach that stage of, taking, as you said, keep it in the side and look it later. If there is any truth in it, let us correct ourselves. Otherwise, it is okay. But it is very difficult practically. Maybe our vital is very, how he can tell me like this. Yeah, how can he talk like this? All that is coming. So before going into their house itself, we'll think, you Rama, we have to go there. What and all we have to hear, we don't know. Literally, we'll think like that and go. But as soon as we come out, me and my husband will smile at each other. Ah? In Kannada, we say, Kivi tumbisbittidare anta. So our ears will be full. So each time when we visit them, I will think, no, this time I'll not get hurt. This time I'll not get, but each time it will happen. Maybe it is our personal experience, but I thought I should share here. Yeah.
Sardaji, I was reminded of that visual. I forget the name, but in Mahabharata, Krishna had given somebody that, okay, I will let him say 100, I don't know, mean things or do bad deeds, because somebody was told that he'll die with Krishna's, like Krishna would kill him. So his mother begged that, no, 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 please forgive him. So he said, okay, I'll forgive him 100 times, but the 101th time he's gone. So I remember this, when we saw that episode, that how when that person is standing there and abusing Krishna, the way Krishna is sitting, with a huge smile on his face, हाँ बेटा तू बोल ले, तेरा तो होना ही है types ना. So because there's something about criticisms that is very heavy, right? There's something which says, I'm not all right, I'm not good. It makes us heavy. But if we, now that for example, that person who just loves to point fault, when you go in, one can go with, okay, what new fault will he take out this way? It can be amusing too. And one can smile like Krishna, Krishna is there and you can say whatever. And yet, this is a very beautiful thing that when people are saying this, even when I know he has that kind of a personality which just keeps taking out that faults, And still, if it upsets me, bothers me, pokes me even a little bit, it shows how much I'm dependent on others, their views, their criticisms, how it affects my being, right? So one must see, one must look within while he's talking and see what movements are happening inside. Because then, in this case, when your defenses are low, you're not trying to protect yourself, you know that's the habit. This could be a very good place to practice this and see the movement so that we can recognize them when we don't get to see them because we are so outside and so loud with our vitals and defenses.
Yeah, Taru, this is really beautiful. We can look within, what is happening in us here. Immediately our response will be, our blood will get heated up and we'll try, but we might not respond, but still something will happen inside.
Yeah.
This is a good examination for us, to check ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
And somehow, and I am not saying I don't do it, but when we now say or hear this, say this sentence, there are some people who do this. Something doesn't feel right, right? Like there are not some people, they are all of us, and I too have someone in me who does that, who looks, who might not say, but an eye is looking within me that, oh, that person is doing that. Oh, I told them not to do that. Oh my God, what will that lead to? Oh my God, that there is this underlying subtle thing which is always standing and looking or pointing faults or looking that the person has committed an error. So that some people is also me. He's loud. I am not. So he's better because he says what's on his mind and I don't. So if I truly don't like what he is doing, I must correct my own ways. That is a call, a cry from the universe that see what it does, see what it does. Because even if I'm not saying it aloud and I'm thinking, it's an impurity, it's an ill will, it's bringing me down. Let me do better. So onus always on myself would really help my journey. This thing is just another, transaction and a relationship. And who am I to say, someone is doing that, someone is doing this. So whatever I'm getting, how do I change it for my own growth? I would need to find a way. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't find it, so I'll share it on the group later, the passage on Sunday part. So we'll just go with this little forward and then we'll end in case we are tired. Okay. So taking the next part, as for comparison with others, one ought not to do that. Each one has his own lesson to learn, his own work to do, and he must concern himself with that. Again, if we look at the flaws in the world, in our society, if we were to call them that, then I feel again this comparison with others is the root of how things are happening and why we are so miserable. It's like a line is drawn somewhere and we are just all saying, okay, this is where all of us need to be, all our children need to be. Third grade means this, fourth grade means this, 20-year-old means that, 30-year-old means this. So if we are all unique and we in a big picture agree with that, if we all have our own journeys, own strengths, own lessons, all weaknesses, where does and how did comparison become so big in the world? It became big because I bought into it. I wear very loose and here and there clothes, and for my kid also, I usually just would make him wear pajamas everywhere, especially when he was 3, 4, 5. Now, if I ever ask him to wear some pants, this fight that I get from him, and I'm like, no, यहाँ जाना है, यहाँ तो पहनना ही पड़ेगा. And he's like, why? किसने बोला है? मैं तो नहीं पहनूंगा. ऐसे करके कि मम्मा, comfort is first. Looks come secondary. And if I ever wear something which doesn't have a hole, which appears to be new, he's like, where are you going today? Kind of a thing. So I just see it and I find it very funny. And when he's defying me, kind of, when he's resisting, it makes me really angry, and yet there is a part of me that is saying that yes, zarurat nahi hai. I mean, if he wants to go to a birthday party wearing his nice pajamas, so much of me is resisting, and I make him wear what I want him to wear. But that is a right thing, that if I want to wear this, I want to wear this. And yet, with what is expected, we keep throwing things down their throats, whether they want them or not. So just a good reminder to take it easy and step back a little for ourselves and for others. So as for comparison with others, one ought not to do that. Each one has his own lesson to learn, his own work to do, and he must concern himself with that, not with the superior or inferior progress of others in comparison with himself. If he is behind today, he can be in full capacity hereafter, and it is for that future perfection of his powers that he must labor. So this is true for everybody, myself and others. And Mother says very clearly that one should never judge, especially, in the spiritual things, because one does not possess the power, the knowledge, the mind to know what is good, what is bad. Reason doesn't give you that tool to analyze what is aage, what is piche. We lot of times we feel the other is holier than thou. I don't know why I'm using this phrase again and again. And they are not. They are not. I have no way of knowing where they are. They might appear to be. Again, that हमको मन की शक्ति देना, मन विजय करें, दूसरों की जय से पहले खुद को जय करें. Whatever the other is saying, there is something in me which is receiving it. I bow down to that receptivity. So, yeah. And the last line, but learn to welcome criticism and the pointing out of imperfections. The more you do so, the more rapidly you will advance. So I think this is the moral of the story, that what is my goal in life? If my goal is, just let me maintain these images, let me maintain how things are, let me maintain the status quo and just feel I'm doing the right thing. Then the criticisms, they hit hard, like somebody has punched you on your face. But if you truly, truly, truly aspire for advancement, for progress, to truly live light, I will have to welcome criticism, faults, learn from what I see. Even if I'm not pointed, something in me knows I did wrong, I said wrong, I looked wrong. And it can be in more harmony I can offer. So if you want to advance, Aurobindo is saying, then you must learn to welcome criticism and pointing out of imperfections. And since Jagan had read this, I'm just taking the second line from Sri Aurobindo as well in line with this. To recognize one's weaknesses and false movements and draw back from them is the way towards liberation. How will I go towards something light when I'm carrying so much falsehood? So for dropping it, I first need to know it, right? So to recognize one's weakness and false movements and draw back from them is the way towards liberation, recognition. So we don't even know we have them. So when we start seeing them, that's the first step. And then we can see how to drop them. Because, yeah, I don't want to say it. I remember in the Circle of Harmony, in the beginning, maybe second, third, fourth session, Shilpi, my friend from Aurobindo, she had shared a beautiful sketch from another friend of hers in which there was this lady who was holding, too many suitcases on her head, like one here, one here, one here for the sketch. And somebody standing fully free was saying, she was saying, it's heavy, I feel heavy. And the sketch said that, okay, why don't you drop them? And the question was like, how or what to drop, something like this. Similarly, when a lot of times we are carrying heavy things, they appear to be so heavy and so one with me. My baggage does not seem like it's an outside entity. It feels it's a part of me. My loads, my weaknesses, we say, this is my cross to carry. Yes, but it's still a cross that can kept down. I'm not nailed to it, thankfully. But that's not how I usually take things. So if I can see this just a little bit, that yes, it's outside of me. I picked it up from there. I picked it up from that. That's not something I was born with. And I can keep it down. The lightness it brings, it is immense. But for that, I'll have to know I'm carrying loads. I'll have to want to keep them down. And I will be shown how to keep them down if I'm ready. That is a certainty. So I would like to end here today. There was a lot of practical, practices, learnings that we can do, that we can reflect on. And as it is, we are, meeting tomorrow, same time. If anybody has capacity, please do join in. And if there is any last comment on what we read today or anything else, please feel free to unmute and share. Yeah, thank you, Deep.
Yeah. I'm trying to link my answer to this, but anyway, I'll just go on. This term, I think we discussed this before also, this term absolute, it's being used a little too freely than it should be. And this term, I'm starting to realize that to not believe that, I've attained absolute perfection. I think to genuinely not believe that there is an absolute perfection that gives room to accept criticism. Because criticism is not hurts, especially when I think that I'm at the pinnacle, I'm at the best spot, and there is no more perfection beyond this. So that is where I find that, okay, let me just remind myself that this is not absolute perfection, there is more to this. And the second, until I reach that point, the second thing is an aspiration that let me enjoy the work. Let me enjoy the work, not for the reward. Let me enjoy the work for the work. There is a story of Ramdas. Ramdas. Um, he's such a bhakt of Ram, and one day Ram and Sita they come in front of him and they say that you're such a wonderful disciple. So now we'll give you moksha. You can go to the heaven. And Ramdas says, okay, but will there be Ram Japa? Will there be puja of Ram there in the heaven? And he said, no, you don't have to worry about it in heaven. It's all bliss and happiness. He says, what is bliss and what is happiness in the absence of Ram Nam? And he says, no, I want to live here only, and I want to pursue this same thing. So he is enjoying the work more than the reward. So there is an aspiration to say that let me enjoy this work, because to be honest, when I start something, although there is although there is a part of me, a habit, a old habit, that there is a reward here, there is also a certain part of me that is interested in what it is doing. So I can just tell mother that there is a part of me that is interested. So let me just fill my entire being with just that interest, and just let me enjoy this, enjoy this part. And I think that really helps by offering. I think that really helps. Last night I was wandering. I'm in Pondicherry. I was just wandering on the streets. I and I went to the building, the ashram building, behind the ashram building, where mother, would come on the balcony. I saw this lady sitting on the footpath, and she was also staring at the balcony. I sat next to her, and I said, "Ma'am, like, what are you doing here?" And she went on to say that she was in coma for 31 days. She's in Pondicherry since 85, and she was in coma for 31 days. She had an accident, and she said that during that accident, I I got closer to mother. And she says that after the accident, after she was out of it, she says that I right now I don't know anything. I don't even know who she is, mother. But I know that she knows me better than I know myself. So whatever I do, whatever I do, whatever I think, it's all her thinking and her doing. So and I thought, okay, that is also possible for an individual to reach that point is also possible, and it's just fascinating. There are so many beautiful examples coming in the way, and to learn from it.
Yes, thank you, Jagan. Just one small point, on this, that is why we are told that always keep connecting with your center and checking why you are doing this. Because it's said that, when we start something, we start with the highest aspiration, we start with a lot of purity. But then, the things that are thrown at us, we feel, oh, good. I will get this from this, I will get this from that, and the center deviates. And then it's no more just for the fun of it, just for the joy of it. You're doing this because you're getting a compliment, you're getting a recognition, you're creating an image. So for that, it is said that keep checking within, keep asking yourself, why did I do this? Why am I doing this? And that helps us in staying on the path of being offered, and that you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for no result, you're doing it for the joy of why you would do it. Yeah. So ending here today. So thanking grace, thanking the divine for the blessings that are showered in my life, for all my troubles, for all my confusions, for all my baggages, for all my struggles and pains, because they are what will take me towards light and progress. So may I learn how to take criticism and how to correct my ways so that I can do what I must do for what I've come on earth, which is more and more progress. So may all beings be filled with joy, delight, progress. This I pray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karu.